Egypt's Sharm el-Sheikh agreement lays the foundation for Gaza's reconstruction. The UNDP states the estimates that rebuilding Gaza will require $70 billion. And the Egyptian Air Force celebrates its 93rd founding anniversary.
And then, of course, we have the host tonight, and I just want to thank you very much. There was a reason we chose Egypt, because you were very helpful, and very, very helpful. Everybody wanted to have this, but we really thought it was appropriate, and you are a great leader. And he's a fantastic man and a fantastic general, by the way. But he's a great president, and I want to thank Egypt and all of your representatives for treating us all so well. Thank you very much.
You're watching Q News with me, Henny Seif. It's 8 p.m. Cairo local time, and this is the news. Egypt has hosted the Sharm el-Sheikh Summit for Peace, co-chaired by the Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi and U.S. President Donald Trump, with the participation from over 30 world leaders and international organizations. The summit strongly endorsed the Sharm el-Sheikh agreement to end the Gaza war, mediate humanitarian aid, facilitate detainee exchanges, ensure Israeli withdrawal, and lay the foundations for Gaza's reconstruction and governance. Leaders praised the pivotal roles of Egypt, the US, Qatar, and Turkey. Egypt reaffirmed its commitment to supporting Palestinian rights, achieving a just, comprehensive Middle East peace, and maintaining international cooperation to sustain the new horizon of stability and security born in Sharm el-Sheikh.
But I want to thank the media for you've been so respectful on this deal. You know the importance of the deal,
In a historic moment for global diplomacy, a special platform united world leaders from east to west, all gathering in Sharm el-Sheikh. The Sharm el-Sheikh Peace Summit brought together world leaders to solidify the recently brokered ceasefire in Gaza, aiming to end the genocidal war and develop a long-term vision to rebuild the devastated Palestinian territory. The major breakthrough, achieved through the sustained efforts of Egypt, the United States, Qatar, and other mediators, offered a crucial sigh of relief to Palestinians following 2 years of relentless bombardment. The summit also took place hours after the completion of the ceasefire's first phase, which included the exchange of 20 Israeli living detainees for almost 2,000 Palestinian prisoners. With world leaders united behind them, Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, U.S. President Donald Trump, Qatari Emir Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, and Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan formally signed a comprehensive peace document in the City of Peace. The accord aims to halt the war, launch a framework for peace, and begin the process of regional reconstruction and political stabilization. Further negotiations will address the implementation of Trump's plan, covering post-war governance, Gaza's reconstruction, and a political path to a final resolution. The historical summit highlighted Egypt's leading role in the process, with world leaders praising its pivotal role in ending the conflict. With this significant momentum, it is evident that a new chapter of peace is beginning to unfold, not only in Gaza, but across the entire region.
Egypt's 4 telecom operators, We, Orange Egypt, E&, Egypt, and Vodafone Egypt, have launched a week-long initiative offering free international calls to the Gaza Strip. The move, coordinated with the National Telecom Regulatory Authority and the Egyptian Red Crescent, aims to ease communication for families affected by the ongoing conflict. Orange Egypt led the effort on Monday, with the others following on Tuesday, granting customers free daily call minutes to reach loved ones in Gaza. U.S. President Donald Trump has urged all Middle Eastern nations to unite in achieving lasting regional peace. Speaking from his aircraft, he highlighted prior coordination with other countries on Gaza's governance, noting the Gaza agreement arrived at a perfect moment. Ladies and gentlemen, we have some breaking news right now where the U.S. President Donald Trump has announced that the second phase of the Gaza agreement is now underway. He emphasized the urgent need to return the bodies of Israeli detainees from Gaza, stating that this remains a critical part of the ongoing negotiations. He also made it clear that the mission in Gaza is far from over, signaling that more developments are expected in the coming days. Stay with us here for more updates on this evolving story here on Q News. Now, on Truth Social, U.S. President Donald Trump has emphasized that Gaza is only one piece of the broader mission, securing peace across the Middle East. Trump called on the region's leaders who have long struggled for stability to collaborate and complete the larger task of enduring peace. He added that he is returning to Washington, D.C., reflecting on a productive trip to Israel and Egypt. He described the experience as extraordinary, noting significant accomplishments, but emphasizing there is more work ahead. Trump urged all the great nations that have long strived for regional stability to unite and complete the mission. According to Axios website, an Israeli official said there is still hope that Hamas will return the bodies of Israeli detainees tonight. The official added that Israel has made clear through mediators that the return of the bodies is an essential part of the ceasefire agreement that comes as Israel has also asked Hamas via mediators to intensify efforts to locate and return the remains. Israeli media reported that mediators informed Israel that Hamas is making considerable efforts to recover the additional bodies. Meanwhile, families of Israeli detainees have urged U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff to intervene urgently to ensure the return of their relatives' remains. Reuters, citing an official, said that Hamas informed mediators that it will begin transferring the bodies of 4 deceased detainees to Israel at 10 p.m. tonight. In an address before the British Parliament, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has hailed the Sharm el-Sheikh agreement as a historic milestone that ended the war in Gaza, noting that the violence and destruction had ceased. He confirmed that humanitarian aid had already begun entering the Gaza Strip and underscored the urgent need to deliver more. Starmer praised the decisive roles of Egypt's President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi and US President Donald Trump in brokering the ceasefire and advancing peace efforts. He described the recognition of the Palestinian state as a historic step forward and reaffirmed the United Kingdom's commitment to sustaining peace in the Middle East in close coordination with international partners and allies. Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez has stressed that the Gaza ceasefire should not let Israel's wartime actions go unpunished. He said there cannot be impunity, noting ongoing international criminal court proceedings. Sanchez added that Spain is willing to contribute to peacekeeping missions and reconstruction efforts in Gaza. Last month, Spain imposed a total arms embargo on Israel as part of broader measures. The UNDP representative Jaco Cilliers has said the UN Development Programme estimates that rebuilding Gaza will require $70 billion, with $20 billion needed over the next 3 years alone. Cilliers revealed that the 2-year war has generated around 55 million tons of rubble. He described the destruction as devastating, but praised the resilience of Gazans determined to rebuild. Cilliers added that several countries, including EU members, Canada, Germany, and potentially the US, have expressed willingness to support both reconstruction in Gaza and broader recovery efforts in the West Bank and East Jerusalem. The figures come from a joint rapid damage and needs assessment by the UN, EU, and World Bank. The UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees, UNRWA, has said that Israel continues to block its humanitarian aid from entering Gaza, despite urgent needs on the ground. In a statement posted on X, UNRWA said food, medicine, hygiene kits, and shelter supplies, enough to support Gaza's population for 3 months, are sitting in warehouses in Egypt and Jordan, awaiting approval. There's no more time to lose, the agency warned, calling on Israel to lift the ban immediately so aid can reach those in need. And for more on the situation in Gaza, we now move to Rana Al-Assas in our newsroom. Rana.
Thank you so much, Hani. And for further analysis, we're joined from Ramallah by the political analyst, Dr. Ashraf Akka. Welcome to Q News, sir. Sir, how does the Sharm el-Sheikh agreement redefine the parameters of post-war peace building and governance in Gaza compared to previous international accords?
First of all, this shows the diplomatic efforts from Egypt and Egypt's ability to make the regional and international situation to come together to settle everything. And so I think that the Egyptian excellence and efforts is what builds or paves the way for a just and comprehensive peace. And I think that the Egyptians trying to make this happen and having international legitimacy shows that this process will only be done according to international law. And so, yes, the mediators from one side, the US also have to mediate, and then there is also Hamas and Israel, and then also the nature of the agreement and the roles of the mediators in implementing this plan. And so this is what makes this agreement eligible for a comprehensive implementation, and then also a comprehensive stability that will allow Gaza to heal through reconstruction, security measures, governance, which will then lead to the next step in Gaza.
Egypt's leadership in hosting and mediating this summit drew global praise. What does this signal about Cairo's evolving diplomatic weight and regional credibility?
First of all, Egypt today is leading the diplomatic efforts, and it is trusted by all parties, even those who had some conflict. And so Egypt was able to bring together Turkey, the Gulf countries, Iran, and even with their direct intervene between the IAEA and Iran. And I think that even inviting Iran shows Egypt's leadership and its deep understanding of the necessaries for peace and stability in the region, and how to enhance things so that we can reach stability and have things move and things can't move forward unless there is a comprehensive plan. And today Egypt lights the way towards a just and lasting peace, and they are opening some kind of path internationally that respects the history and the geopolitical importance of the region, and puts the US and the great countries in a position to respect the necessities in the region through respecting these diplomatic efforts that keep the international peace and not just in the region. And so Egypt's role, and with its position between all the countries, all the efforts that they've been putting, caring about all the conflicts that in the region. We're talking about the most important ones in Libya, Sudan, and how they are affecting Yemen, and also the greatest conflict, which is the war in Gaza. And so here, this shows that Egypt is aware of the threats and challenges that the region is facing, and they are able to face it. But today, Egypt is planning for a new phase for the region and the world.
US President Donald Trump framed Gaza as one piece of a broader mission. How realistic is the vision of extending this peace framework to the wider Middle East?
Yes, this has to do with the nature of the settlement that they can reach on Gaza and the Palestinian cause. The region, what the region is calling for is very clear. They want just and comprehensive peace so that it is long-lasting, and that it can reach even other areas in the region. And so we need a just a settlement for the Palestinian cause built on a two-state solution. And I think that this came from not just from being real, but from all from Egypt's stance and its ability to make the Arab regional and international things take a whole new path and involve the US. And I think that Israel and the US have reached some kind of being isolated internationally. And so Egypt here is bringing back the focus on the Palestinian cause and to the region by inviting all the great countries, and with the US on top, and then in upcoming phases having this conflict go to the Security Council so that we can reach peace. And so this shows that Egypt is taking some confident steps and taking into consideration the benefits of the region under the international legitimacy and respecting the international law and the UN Charter. And so Egypt here is using diplomacy to lead it, and they are taking into consideration even the benefits of the other parties.
The United Kingdom's recognition of Palestinian statehood and aid commitments mark a significant policy shift. Could this momentum drive broader European alignment on Palestine?
Yes, I think that there is some turning point in the European stance, like Spain, France, and Norway, and other European countries even. And yes, there is a shift in the public opinion pressuring the countries to support Trump's plan. And I'd say it is not just Trump's plan, it is the Arab-Egyptian plan that was proposed in the Arab Summit. It is the New York conference with its outcomes. And so here we are seeing this transformation in the European and American stances, and even with what affects this will lead eventually to a two-state solution. And this requires actual and serious guarantee from the US president, from the Congress, from the government. And so I think that Europe today, yes, they are taking their own path, and they are to have their foreign policy about recognizing a Palestinian statehood, but actually this is now being discussed in Europe. And so this actually pushes the US to guarantee and to give more serious guarantees to prove that they will not breach it. And I think that the outcomes from the conference now pressures all the parties, and on top of them is the US of being some kind of responsible for Israel's action.
That was Dr. Ashraf Akka from Ramallah, the political analyst. Thank you very much for joining us on Q News. And now we go back to my dear colleague Hani Saif in our studios. Hani?
Thank you, Rana. Gaza Mayor Yahya al-Sarraj has said that reopening streets and roads is the city's top priority as residents return to the devastated neighborhoods. Al-Sarraj stressed the urgent need to restore mobility for citizens, but warned of severe shortages in equipment, spare parts and building materials, particularly for maintaining critical infrastructure like water wells. He called for the immediate opening of all crossings to allow the entry of desperately needed aid into the Gaza Strip. The World Health Organization has reported that over 15,600 patients in Gaza urgently need medical evacuation, with more than 15,000 having suffered amputations due to the recent war. The WHO called for reopening medical corridors to provide access to specialized treatment and warned that continued closures risk worsening the humanitarian and health crisis. Gaza civil defense teams have recovered over 250 bodies since the ceasefire, despite severe shortages of heavy equipment. Spokesman Mahmoud Basal said many victims were found in the streets or trapped under rubble, with an estimated 10,000 people still buried and unreachable due to the lack of machinery. He also warned that unexploded ordnance and war remnants pose serious risks to both rescue workers and civilians. During the recent Jewish holidays, around 9,820 Israeli settlers entered Al-Aqsa Mosque under heavy military protection. The governorate condemned the far-right Israeli government for using religious holidays as a pretext to advance a Judaization agenda aimed at undermining the mosque's legal and historical status. Israeli officials reportedly made provocative claims of Jewish sovereignty over Al-Aqsa, violating international laws. Reaffirming Jerusalem's Arab identity and Palestinian status, the governorate called on the UN, Security Council and international bodies to urgently intervene to protect Islamic and Christian holy sites from ongoing violations. Ladies and gentlemen, we have more breaking news right now in a significant diplomatic victory. Egypt has secured membership on the United Nations Human Rights Council for the 2026-2028 term. The election took place on October 14th at the UN General Assembly in New York, where Egypt received 173 votes, reflecting strong international support. This marks Egypt's third time on the council, including 2 terms during President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi's leadership, highlighting global confidence in Egypt's active role in promoting human rights. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs emphasized that this achievement strengthens Egypt's ongoing efforts to protect human rights, citing the launch of the National Human Rights Strategy in 2021 and recent advances in justice reform, social protection, and empowerment programs. Egypt's election also underscores its pivotal role in regional peace and stability, notably marked by the recent historic Sharm el-Sheikh Peace Summit on October 13th. The ministry thanked all supporting countries and pledged to uphold its responsibilities on the Council, promoting a balanced, inclusive approach to human rights that respects cultural and national specificities, while advancing economic, social, civil, and political rights for all Egyptians. And moving on to Cairo, as Egypt marks the 52nd anniversary of the 1973 October War, the Egyptian Air Force celebrated its 93rd founding anniversary, which also coincides with the historic Battle of Mansoura. At a press conference, Air Force Commander Lieutenant General Amr Abdurrahman Saqr praised the enduring legacy of Egyptian pilots, highlighting their heroic defense during the 1973 Mansoura air battle, the longest aerial combat in modern history, lasting over 50 minutes. He affirmed the Air Force's continued mission to secure Egypt's skies and strategic interests, commending ongoing efforts to modernize its fleet with the latest aircrafts, in line with directives from the political and military leadership to safeguard national security. Egypt has expressed its deepest condolences and sincere sympathy to the government and people of Mexico over the victims of the devastating floods that swept through several Mexican states, resulting in numerous casualties and injuries. In a statement by the Egyptian Foreign Ministry, Cairo reaffirmed its full solidarity with Mexico in this difficult time, extending heartfelt condolences to the families of the victims and wishing the injured a speedy recovery. And in Tehran, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has dismissed US President Donald Trump's recent call for dialogue, saying that he cannot be both a president of peace and a president of war. Posting on X, Araghchi criticized US support for Israeli strikes on Iranian nuclear sites in June, saying Trump has been misled about Iran's nuclear program. There is zero proof Iran was weaponizing, he said, citing US intelligence assessments. Araghchi also accused Israel of being the real bully in the region and of manipulating US policy. French Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu has announced the suspension of the controversial 2023 pension reform until after the 2027 presidential election, pledging no retirement age hike before January 2028. Addressing lawmakers, Lecornu said the contribution period would also be frozen at 170 quarters, aiming to restore public trust after months of protests. A national conference with unions and employers will seek consensus on future pension policy. The move, expected to cost €2.2 billion by 2027, will benefit 3.5 million citizens and must fiscally be neutral, Lecornu said. He also promised to avoid using Article 49.3 to bypass the Parliament, committing to full votes on all key legislation, including the budget. These are all the news we have for now, but here's a reminder of today's main headlines. Egypt's Sharm el-Sheikh agreement lays the foundations for Gaza's reconstruction. The UNDP states estimates that rebuilding Gaza will require $70 billion. And the Egyptian Air Force celebrates its 93rd founding anniversary. These are all the news we have for now, but please don't forget to follow Q News on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram and TikTok at Q News EGY to stay informed. I'm Henny Safe, thank you for watching and stay tuned for more updates always here on Q News.